feel like when Cove grows up, he would totally be the lead singer of a emo band. And he'd be like, when I was a young boy, my father, he moved me to the beach town and left my mom behind. Like, that's how that song goes. That's just saying. I love some ice cream, brah. Come to your guys' house later. So, you got 2 mommies. I don't have any. Oh my god, that's just something he would say too. Like, brah, it's broad. I got brah kids, brah. Second kid to pipe up, it's my name! Had half her face obscured behind the huge glasses she wore. Fuck you! Typecasting! What's up? Bitches, it's Noisy Face. Back for more of our adventures with Cove. Now, Ari Master 870 has been listening to this story intently. He is very excited to find out what happens in Barbecue, Runaway, and Sleepover. You'd been brought along to the big park today, which did an excellent job of living up to its title. The park near your house, with its lonely playground equipment, wasn't even a quarter of the size of the expanse of grass and trees that lay before you now. As it was the next town over and too far for you to walk by yourself, you didn't get to visit it much, so you soaked up the environment. Another difference between this park and the one in your neighborhood was that this one had visitors other than you, Lizzie, Shiloh, and Cove. Today it was the busiest you've ever seen it, thanks to a community get-together luring people in from all over the local area with the promise of barbecue and fireworks. Your family and Cove's were just 2 of many. What seemed like dozens of cars were parked up already when you had arrived. You saw Cove hesitate as he took in the growing gaggle of strangers. By your mommy, Lizzie bounced on the balls of her feet, barely containing her excitement. Crowd made you nervous, couldn't wait for fireworks, look forward to meeting kids, rather have stayed home, tumbly rumbly. Even if it was bigger, the park wasn't as special as the one back home. I'm gonna say fireworks, probably. That seems like a good answer. It was going to be so cool. Mommy had told you that the people running the community event weren't charging for it, but she wanted them to get something in return. Which is why you'd not been allowed to touch the beautifully iced cupcakes she had carried in her lap during the drive over. It was a special treat for them. Every time the car made a turn, she clutched the box tight enough for her knuckles to strain, much to everyone else's amusement. Mr. Holden's contribution to the party, a huge pack of juice boxes, was tucked under his arm after being retrieved from the car's trunk. You bet there had been so much dramatics around that cargo getting here in one piece, but the boxes did lack the beautiful shimmer of Mommy's treasured cupcakes. Okie dokie, everyone all set? Should be. Brah, did you put sunscreen on before we left? Yeah, always do. You don't have to tell me. Mr. Holden deflated, his attempt at caring for his son rebuffed. But he triumphed with a smile. Good, brah. I don't want you getting burned or dehydrated either. Be a busy day. Like, he's such a nice, other than when he tried to pay me to hang out with his angsty son, he is genuinely a nice dude. You feel like he's struggling. Don't think there's gonna be any risk of that second part. Mom nodded at the tables up ahead, laden with all kinds of food and drink. She was right. There was plenty to go around. The parents headed over, with you, Lizzie, and Cove trailing after them. A bunch of grown-ups were clustered around there, chatting. The but you were more intrigued by what was on the tables. Some of it was familiar: chilled meats, sliced vegetables, big bags of chips. But there were lots that you didn't recognize. Your moms had said that you weren't to touch the food until they said it was time to eat. You didn't see harm in taking a little. You wanted to listen to their rules. You didn't want to risk getting caught. We can follow the rules. We're gonna eat at some point, It'll be fine. I'm sure I'm not starving. I'm just being an overdramatic child. You felt that was important. You saw that Mommy and Mr. Holden had deposited the food and drink they'd bought. Mommy gave the cupcakes one final worried look before turning to you with a smile. Since that's the topic on hand, how about we freshen up with something to drink? Yeah. That'd be great. Along with the ones out, there was a giant ice cooler on the ground, stuffed full of soda cans, boxes of juice and milk, as well as bottles of water. Your drink was soda, water, juice, milk. Well, it's hot outside, so milk is just hot trash. So we're in between soda, water, juice, soda. The bubbles in the soda tickled your nose as you gulped it down. Your little group took a break while everyone quenched their thirst. Mr. Holden smacked his lips, pantomiming enjoyment. Bene, brah. How that goes. That hit the spot, but you kids should go have fun. You can take your stuff with you and join the other kids playing games, brah. Just don't go too far from the tables. We'll be keeping an eye out, so don't think about sneaking off. We're not going to the other parts of the park today. Lizzie huffed at their comments. They did not sound directed at her, but she scanned the surroundings. Nodding her head towards a group of kids like a general directing their battalion, she pointed that way. Come on! Let's go over there! Cove's mouth was downturned as he looked from the parents and the other adults to the new kids, clearly not favoring either option. But ultimately, he hunched his shoulders and tugged along after Lizzie. I'm gonna go play with the other kids. I'm not gonna hang with my parents. I'm not that nerdy. You followed after Lizzie and Cove, who were waiting for you on the outskirts of the group party. Oh my god, it's the music! We're missing it! Hurry up! You picked up the pace, moving into a jog, but when Lizzie pelted away at full speed, you and Cove had no choice but to break out into a run. The other kids were far out in the field. Still, at your speed, it wasn't long until you reached them. As you approached, they turned around to greet the newcomers. Hi, I'm Lizzie. This is my little sister, French Fires. The one with the cast on is Cove. You offered a smile. Cove simply lifted a hand in greeting. There was a chorus of hellos and names from the other kids. One of the kids looked to be about Lizzie's age or older. A couple seeming to be the same age as you and Cove, and there was one tiny little thing with his arms folded over his chest. What are you up to? The first kid, a boy with curly black hair and neon green sneakers, would introduce himself as Hayden, shrugged as he looked to the others. Not much. Second kid to pipe up, it's my name! Had half her face obscured behind the huge glasses she wore. Fuck you! Typecasting! We haven't decided yet. She glanced wistfully over her shoulder. Following her gaze, you saw the spray of water first, and heard the shriek as someone got splashed in the face before you spotted the person shooting them. Some people are always playing with water guns, but there aren't any left. The smallest kid, Noah, grumbled at that. You guessed that was why he was sulking. Spencer, who hadn't said much, patted his shoulder. So that's out. A new kid raced over with a glint in her eyes and her braids streaming behind her. You spotted the plastic orange pistol in her hand too late, when the trigger had already been pressed. Rude! Hey! Lizzie, who'd been caught first, was fuming. Cole wiped the water from his face. You rubbed at your ear, trying to dislodge the water that had pooled in there. Who shoots someone in the ear? Don't spray people. You laughed. Watch out, he has a cast. You pushed her away. Well, we're not pushing bitches. We're also not drawing attention to Cove's cast, because he fucking hates it when people do that. I mean, like, he hates everything, but he's so angsty. Alright, I'm gonna laugh. It's funny. It was pretty funny, and you were unhurt by the water trickling down your neck. The girl simply darted off to find more victims, unaffected by your reaction. She doesn't mean anything by it. Lizzie tutted, flicking her hair out of her face. The girl not meaning anything by it didn't change the fact that she'd been sprayed. Cove looked similarly unimpressed. Lisa's face lit up as she had an idea. Hey, we should catch her! She won't be able to spray people if she's running away from everybody. Yeah. Cove nodded as the other kids murmured their interest, or lack of it, in the game. Let's do it. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Okay, you nodded along. No thanks, you shook your head. Like, let's do it. Let's get revenge. I'm all about revenge. You joined the group of kids in tearing off after the girl with the pistol. Spotting you all over her shoulder, she laughed and shot her pistol in the air. Only a couple of drops squeezed out. She swerved, causing discord within your team as someone stood on your foot and you collided with Cove's shoulder. Sorry. He frowned, but didn't say anything, as he kept his eye on the target. You were closing in on the girl, but you weren't alone. Lizzie's face was set with an intent, and the two older kids were hot on her heels too. You outran them easily, you outran them with effort. You weren't as fast as them because they were speedy. You weren't as fast as them because you just weren't fast! Oh, you moved to the side and let them pass. You didn't want to win this race. I mean, I gotta go with this matter-of-fact statement here. Like, oh, you're just not as fast. You pushed yourself, willing your legs to move just a bit faster, but it was useless. Even if they weren't escaping fast, it was too speedy for you. Lisa lunged and tackled her friend to the ground. Got her! Panting, she punched the air in triumph, then pushed her glasses back up to the bridge of her nose. The girl who had been caught giggled as she got to her feet, brushing strands of grass off her knees. Smiling, Cove came to a stop by your side. Lizzie whooped with delight, clapping her hands. The boy with the bright sneakers grinned. You're it now. Catch us if you can. Oh, he's little, he's wee, so he's like, yeah. I'll do it. You won't get away from me, generic girl yelled. With that, you all dispersed, squealing and laughing as you tried to evade capture. The sour mood from earlier had evaporated entirely, replaced by a light and playful atmosphere. Several rounds later, when most of the kids had taken at least one turn as it, the scent of smoke wafted up to your nose. Caught by surprise, you look up and found that the brilliant blue of the sky had turned orange as the sun sank down on the horizon. With all the excitement, you'd lost track of time completely. Looking over, you saw people standing by the grills and poking them to life. It was nearly time to eat. We should get over there. I'm so hungry. Oh, there's so many children. Our parents are at different spots. Yeah. Bye. It was cool playing. Yep. Bye. You waved goodbye to the other group of kids before hurrying over to your parents with Lizzie and Cove. A tickle unfurled in your throat, growing more persistent as you came closer to the source of the smoke. As the three of you approached the tables, your parents spotted you and came to join you halfway. You tried to greet them, but another cough obstructed your words. Oh, that was quite a cough. Are you alright, sweetie? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm fine. I'm fine. Are you sure? No one needs to go up to the grills if they don't want to. Just let me know what you need. There was no response from the other two kids here. I can get it myself. I can do it. I march over to the grills. Can you get it for me? Please, could you get it for me? I can do it. Alright. But tell me if it gets too much for you. The main thing being served is kebabs. You can have whatever you like on it. There's different meats and veggies. As you approached, you found a vast array of bits and pieces ready to be skewered and served up. You chose, oh man, chicken, beef, shrimp, pork, onions, peppers, zucchini, and potatoes. So I only choose one of these? Shrimp. Ooh. Zucchini, potatoes, chicken, beef, pork, like pretty much everything but onion, and that's everything. Sounds good to me. The veggies will be good for you. Order given, you waited for your food to be ready. Lizzie headed towards you, having issued her own request. Hi again. I heard what you ordered. I'm getting a chicken kebab with all 3 colors of peppers. Noticing that Cove approached, she turned to him. What are you having? Why? Yeah, why? Why does it matter? I don't know. I was just asking. Well, I'm getting shrimp with all the vegetables except onions. Oh, we're little spirit animal buddies! Yay! Lizzie hummed while evaluating his response. That's okay, I guess. But chicken is definitely better. Well, then you can eat all of the chicken. I'm going to. I want some of the chicken too. All of the chicken in the world. Chicken is the worst. This is a stupid argument. Chicken is the best trick. So I'm gonna say all the chicken in the world. Like all the chicken. No, that's dumb. You know what I mean. Lizzie peered over to the grills where the kebabs were being handed out. A growing assortment of kebabs collected in your parents' hands. They're coming over. Don't get jealous of mine when you realize you made the wrong choice, Cove. Didn't make the wrong choice. There isn't a wrong choice. We all made good choices. Ah, same to you, Lizzie. Yeah, bro, same to you. Here, here. She simply stuck her tongue out in retort. The person serving gave your mommy one final kebab. Then your parents moved over to rejoin you. Between them, they were carrying 6 kebabs, one for each of you, including Cove and Mr. Holden. We've got the goods. Cove's daddy's looking for a place we can sit. In the meantime, they began passing out the kebabs to their rightful owners. Lizzie smiled smugly as she received hers. These are pretty big. Be careful not to drop it. Try not to poke yourselves with the ends either. They're sharper than you might think. Oh my gosh, she's such a mom. Hearing that, you tentatively pushed the tip of the skewer against your finger. It felt like the point of a newly sharpened pencil. No joke, I got a little mark in one of my fingers here, where I stabbed myself with a sharpened pencil, and I was really little, and you could still see like the graphite mark in there. It's great. It's fun. Though it didn't hurt your hand, you wouldn't want it scraping the roof of your mouth or jabbing your tongue. Mommy clucked her tongue. It wouldn't be nice if the options were a little easier to manage and less messy to eat, especially for the smaller kids. There aren't even plates for everyone, so we could set the food down for a second. That's what you get for the price of free, but can't hack it, right? Lizzie nodded her head vigorously, clutching her kebab like a trophy. Your parents led you back to the tables. It was immediately evident why Mr. Holden had been sent to scout one out. The benches had quickly filled up as people got their food. Mr. Holden was standing over a corner section near the edges of the sitting area. He beckoned your group over to join him. You clambered onto the bench, taking care not to let your kebab slip from your fingers. Further along the table, Cove perched next to his dad, while Lizzie took a space next to you. Your mom passed the final unclaimed kebab to Mr. Holden. Thanks. Looks delicious, brah. Thank you for getting us a space out here. Everyone tucked into their food. You gobbled it up so eagerly, only partially obstructed by the awkwardness of eating from a skewer. Running around with the other kids had helped you work up an appetite. Mr. Holden, what do you do? Well, I do a lot of things, brah. Huh. Do you play golf? Only if you count mini golf, brah. One look at Lizzie's stricken face confirmed that she did not. She could only enjoy the occasional round at a mini golf place, especially if she had an audience to impress. But your sister took her passion very seriously. Even then, it's been years since I gave it a shot, brah. Cove groaned at the feeble pun. Mom chuckled. You weren't sure if she was responding to the joke, Cove's annoyance, or Lizzie's offense. Just as well. She'll be dragging you to the green every week. That's because I've got dedication. You need a good drive or two to get far. Mr. Holden nodded, clicking his tongue in appreciation. Cove looked from his father to your sister, lost in conversation. Outclassed in golf wit, bruh. I don't get it. It's more golf stuff. You should give real golf a try. Maybe I'll teach you some tricks. Try to change my dad to be more like you. Lizzie gave Cove a dirty look at the accusation. Mom felt the need to move the topic ahead before it got heated. Oh, that's real sweet of you, but I'm sure Mr. Holden is busy. He might not have time for another hobby. Yeah, I don't think I'm made for that. Still, the offer is appreciated, bruh. Why? Then tell me something you really do already. You just go away every day. Well, I like scuba diving. Though, with the business, that's more work than play these days. Surfing, reading, snorkeling, bras. I like bras. Those are things Cove likes. Wow, good thing you live by the beach. Well, he lives by the beach because he got divorced, so that's probably not good to say. I don't know if I should speak for Cove. Say that's what Cove likes. Those are things Cove likes. Mr. Holden exaggeratedly puffed out his chest. What can I say? My bra's got good taste. Takes after his dad that way. The sun had been setting when you got your food, and by the time you'd finished, night had truly fallen. Your sticky fingers were the only remaining evidence of your meal. The kebab had a great combination, more than the sum of its parts. The seasoning of freedom, choose every ingredient yourself, was what made it something to remember. Rising from the table, Mommy held up her water bottle. Okay, now the food is gone, you gotta wash your hands. There's clearly some sort of room back here. That's probably a restroom or somewhere we could wash our hands and not from your water bottle. I'm just saying. Okay. French fries, Lizzie, please hold them out. Lizzie complied, coming over and cupping her hands together in front of her. Mommy splashed some water over her fingers and Lizzie rubbed them together, working off any residue. Here. Mom passed her a paper towel from her purse, and Lizzie used it to dry off her hands. Your turn, French fires. You readily held out your hands. Begrudgingly, you lifted your hands up. You didn't move. I don't need to. Well, you're gonna get sassed if you say I don't need to. So, I guess we're like, okay, like I'll do this, but I'm not really on board. We'll go with that. Mommy splashed water over them. It was cold, and you would have preferred not doing this. You wiped at them with broad motions, getting the worst of the residue from your fingers. Nearby, Cove had taken his own course of action, wiping his hands on his pants and leaving a stain where his fingers had been. Boys do that. Boys do that. Mr. Holden shook his head. Let's clean that off, brah. He scrubbed at the fabric with a scrunched-up napkin. Bad. Not that bad. When everyone was cleaned up, or as clean as they could be with the limited facilities, Mom spoke up. Let's go make one last check at the coolers and restock on drinks before the fireworks show. No time. We have to get a good spot. Everywhere's gonna be taken. Well, how about I go ahead and save us a space again? Can meet up with me in the field after getting the drinks, brah. Then I'm going with Cove's dad. I'll find the perfect place. Alright, sure thing. Could use an extra pair of eyes, brah. Mommy shook her head ruefully at Lizzie's even more enthusiastic than usual attitude. Alright, me, Cliff, and Lizzie can go find a place to sit. Pam, Cove, and French fires. You want to get the drinks? Okay. Nodded. I'll get all the stuff we need. No, I want to pick a spot. I don't want to get drinks. I considered my options. Like, sure, I'm fine with that. Whatever. Get some drinks. As Mommy, Lizzie, and Mr. Holden headed off into the wide open field where the fireworks were being set up, you joined Cove and Mom in returning to the cooler where you'd picked up drinks earlier. Even as you approached, you suspected you wouldn't find much in it. Where it had originally been stocked to the brim, it was now half empty. The ice, which had cushioned the drinks and kept them cool, was largely melted, with only a handful of pieces floating like tiny icebergs. Slim pickings. The drink that remained looked to be bottles of plain water, but you caught a glimpse of something more colorful in amongst them. Mom rummaged around in the cooler, excavating a couple of juice boxes from the bottom in the process. French fires, Cove, you can take one if you want. Perks of helping. I'm gonna take water and not be a stingy bish. Cove hesitated, but decided to take a juice box for himself. When you were each loaded up with your chosen drink, plus an extra bottle or two for someone else in the group, Mom's phone started to ring. She juggled the water bottles over into the crook of her arm and looked at the color. Oh, it's Mommy. Hold tight while I get this. Hey, hun, how's it going? Did you find the perfect spot already? She nodded. She nodded along to the call, punctuated by uh-huhs as Mommy gave her directions. Catching your eye, she gestured towards the grassy area. We've got a place, come on. We better hurry before the show starts. You and Cove jogged after your mom, who led you through the field, and the separate groups of people assembled there, back to the rest of your families. Oh, hello, we're here. And we come bearing drinks, though there wasn't much left. The three of you handed over the spare drinks. You gave Lizzie a bottle of water, but she only had eyes for one juice box. Cove has juice. Cove helped get the drinks. You got to pick where we sat. Don't be spoiled. I'm not. Good. Then you're going to thank us for bringing you your very own water bottle. Thanks. Once everyone had been equipped with a beverage for the big event, you sat on the grass near your family and waited for the magic to begin. Most people in the park had taken a seat now, with few stragglers silhouetted back at the tables in the distance. A few rambunctious kids were still dashing out, but their number was steadily decreasing as their parents called them over and restored order. Someone bearing a cardboard box weaved between the groups, pausing every so often. You nudged Lizzie and pointed. What are they doing? Looks like they're handing something out. I can't make out what it is. Well, I sure hope it's not drinks. Mommy chuckled, but Lizzie and Cove were now watching the bestower of mystery goods keenly. Are they gonna come to us too? Mom softly put her hands on top of your sister's shoulders, as if she feared Lizzie might bolt over to the stranger. Lizzie didn't even glance at her, eyes locked on the potential prize. I don't know.
In that case,
we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm intrigued, I'm not gonna lie. Studying the man with the box closely as he gradually meandered nearer, you could only make out that what he was handing. Studying the man with the box closely as he gradually meandered nearer, you could make out that what he was handing out was small items to most of the groups he stopped at. Why is there a ... there? Was small items to most of the groups he stopped at. They seemed too short to be water bottles, but beyond that, it remained a mystery. Then the boxman made his way to your group. Evening! I'm handing out dessert! Any takers? I don't know why he's super creepy, but he's just super creepy. There's dessert? Lizzie squealed. Hopping off the ground, the man chuckled. Ooh, ice cream cups! I'm gonna take that as a yes! Ice cream's on the menu, vanilla flavored with a twist of either chocolate or strawberry syrup. Oh, that's nice. None for me though, thanks. Same. The offer's appreciated, brah. I want chocolate. Can I have strawberry? And a strawberry for me too, please. Now, you are going to have to make a decision, chocolate or strawberry. Well, I like strawberry better than chocolate, so that's not even hard. Reaching into the box, the man brought out the requested ice creams and tossed them out. It came packaged in a little plastic cup, complete with a wooden spoon stuck to the paper lid. The condensation wet your fingers in a pleasant way. Thank you. Kids, are you gonna thank the nice man too? There was a chorus of thanks. He cordially nodded and walked off to another group. The man couldn't spend much time with each group, considering how many he had to get to. You peeled back the tab that covered the ice cream and got right into your unexpected treat. It tasted amazing. Lizzie was definitely enjoying hers. Cove was too. Lizzie munched away happily, but it ultimately didn't succeed in monopolizing her attention. Eyes wide, she looked at Mommy and pulled on her pants. I didn't get a strawberry. Can I have some of yours, please?
Of course.
Don't give it to her! She don't need that! Lizzie cooed with excitement as Mommy presented her with a dollop of ice cream and syrup mixture. Licking her lips, Lizzie lapped it up. Mommy, come on now. Lizzie has all the ice cream she needs. I like this sassy. No fucking crazy business mom. She simply laughed and pinched Lizzie's cheeks, then dug her spoon in again and held it out to you. Oh, I just can't resist. French fries, would you like some of mine? I already have strawberry, but thanks. She's already got that flavor, see? See? But it's not the same as getting a little extra from your mommy. I'm gonna pass, because I do already have that flavor, and I'm not a greedy bitch. See? French fries knows how it is. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Cove watched the exchange silently with a blank expression. Mom, on the other hand, shook her head, a fond smile on her face. Well, you better at least give me some, too. You could have gotten your own if you wanted ice cream. Oh, bish!
What?
Oh, yeah! She's like, what? The kids have ice cream already, and they're getting some of yours to boot. I've got nothing. Now is when you decide to be firm. Laughing, Mommy fed some ice cream to your sulking mom. She could never actually follow through with being tough. Well, there, all better now. Yeah. Good. How about you, Cliff? You want some? Oh, no, that's weird. Don't do that, girl. Oh, no. I'm still okay. Thanks for keeping me in mind, bruh. Cove. Only fair you get the choice, too. Cove shook his head firmly, concentrating on his own cup. Mommy smiled. Okay, as long as no one's feeling left out. Mommy was always so nice to everyone. Then, the first firework cut through the sky, whistling as it ascended until it hit its crescendo with an explosion. The park flashed as if alight. Squealing, Lizzie leaped to her feet, her forgotten ice cream tumbling to the ground as the firework crackled into tiny drops of glitter in the sky. It's starting! Everyone else looked up to the sky as another firework whizzed through the air. With each explosion, Lizzie would jump in the air. The event was thrilling. It was impossible to tear your eyes away. Loud noises hurt your ears. You covered them with your hands. It was kind of neat. You shrunk back, hugging your knees to your chest. I'm gonna say it was thrilling. Cove sat by his dad, captivated by the sky sparkles and flashes overhead. Mr. Holden watched the fireworks scene impassively. He didn't smile at you, or even give a thumbs up. When he noticed you looking over, Mommy hopped to her feet, pulling Mom with her, pushing her into joining Lizzie and jumping up in tandem at every crack and firework. Mommy then bent down to offer you a hand up too. I don't feel like jumping. I got terrible arthritis knees. The vast array of colors in the sky were hypnotic. As if entranced, you stayed rooted to the floor, marveling at the wonders flashing above you. Mommy understood when you didn't get off the ground. Instead, she sat down, again right by you. The two of you enjoyed the sparkles side by side, while Mom and Lizzie danced together. The fireworks continued, some twisting like a coil of a spring as they arced into the air, others shooting straight from the ground and shattering into a million tiny specks. Every color got its spotlight in the show, from fiery reds to eerie greens and blues that could rival the ocean. You eventually noticed that at some point Mr. Holden had let Cove perch atop his shoulders, or more likely, Cove had persuaded to give it a try. Still, Cove's face was covered with a wide smile that matched his father's own. You imagined the view from way up there was pretty impressive. It was also nice that they were getting along for once. The show built up to a grand finale that boomed over the park and filled every inch of the sky, the twinkling lights representing the full spectrum of the rainbow. As the final glittering embers dissolved into the night, you released a deep breath. The after image was still burning your retinas, leading up behind your eyelids with every blink. Within a minute, the image had been lost, but it was burned deeper still into your mind. You'd been so focused on the show that your foot had gone numb beneath you. It was only when you attempted to stand that you felt the tingling sensation of blood rushing back to your toes. Cove was on the ground again. Your eyes locked momentarily. Then you turned back to your family. The news that Cove and his dad would be coming with you to a once-in-a-year event hadn't been great. You could admit now that it hadn't been as bad as you feared, but it would take far more than not actively ruining one event for you to consider Cove a friend. Though the sun had gone down long ago, the air on your bare arms was warm. You took in your giddy family, their spirits, buoyed by the firework display, and smiled. This had been a pretty special night. Alright, it's time to see if I'm right. And we got a little runaway, little Cove. Run away from your dad who likes bras a lot. After a couple hours at the playground by yourself, it had gotten firmly into afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the distance. She was rushing over like something was on her tail, chasing her. You knew she would be coming, but was she that excited to get to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balancing her hands on her knees, and panted. Did you hear? Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found the new hiding place of Mom's sugar stash. It's about Cove! Oh my god, I called it. Cove? Lizzie rarely brought him up by herself, and never with this much urgency. What was this about? You listened, confused as Lizzie explained. I just came out when I saw lots of people gathered around in the middle of the street. They were talking quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear. That means it was important. So I snuck up and I heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly, she wanted you to say something. So what did you hear? Tell me. I don't really care. I think I'm just gonna go with the general, like, so? Like, girl, you're always, like, crazy dramatic, so, like, get to the point. Seeing that she had your attention, Lizzie continued. Cove is missing. He left a piece of paper for Mr. Holden to tell him that he was going away and he'd be gone for a long time. No one has seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if you don't find Cove soon, you have to call the police. The police? You had seen police officers around town now and then, but you had never talked to one before, much less dealt with them. It was an intimidating thought. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? You watched as your sister began to pace in front of you. I know. Mom said Cove was sad about moving here, but running away from home is crazy. Where else is he gonna go anyways? I don't know. I want to find him. I hope someone finds him soon. Just like, yeah. I'd go to tons of places. You didn't answer her. Like, I want to find him. Lizzie scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment. Then she nodded and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna go look. You are? We can play at the park any day, and the more people that are looking, the quicker someone will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm best at hide and seek after all. I beg to differ, bish, and I have episode evidence to prove that motherfucking fact. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look, not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Wish me luck. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in the crisis faded in the back of your mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. It was surprising news at first, but that sounded like something he'd do when you considered it again. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He had gone there the first time you met, but someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need police for that. Cove must be far away or hiding somewhere if the whole neighborhood was looking for him. He swung back and forth, lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Lizzie had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home, somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that might be important enough for Cove to go off like this. It was a good idea, except how was he gonna get there? Did he take a bus? Was he gonna walk the whole way? You didn't know what direction he needed to take. But wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to the other side would mean he'd get stuck by buildings and fences so big slopes. Like the one behind your house. That left going up the street. You knew that road. It led into the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits, which meant if someone followed the path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so I'm gonna go find Cove by myself. You were worried about Cove and didn't have to bother anyone. Plus, you might be wrong. It was your idea, so you should be the one to check there. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. You went right up along the main street, keeping an eye out for Cove. No one else had the same idea as you, it seemed, because you were completely alone there. You passed through your whole neighborhood and then the next one over and the next. Your worry festered like a wound the longer you searched for your friend. Just how far had Cove gone? You kept walking. You called out for Cove a few times, but you didn't see the familiar mop of green hair anywhere. After a while, the sun began to dip out of the sky. It would be dark soon, and there was still no sign of your neighbor. You weren't even in the residential district by this point. You had reached the central part of town. The area was at once strange and familiar. You'd been here before, of course, but never without your moms close by. They would drive you. Your footsteps slowed. You started second-guessing your decision to go ahead by yourself. It wasn't like you knew for sure where Cove went. Cove! You shouted his name a few times as you had done periodically this entire time. There was nothing. Well, maybe he's not going this way. Was he somewhere else? Had somebody found him already? I'm gonna keep going. You were able to make it this far. You had to continue the search. With that in mind, you pushed yourself to walk a little faster. People said this was a really tiny town, but to you, it felt absolutely gigantic. Eventually, the business part of town ended too. There was no sidewalk anymore, only a long expanse of road. You walked on the grass instead. Onward was the only option. Your journey stubbornly continued. Your feet hurt. You were tired. You were on your own, but somehow you had reached the very edge of Sunset Bird. That's what the sign told you. You had lived in Sunset Bird forever, and it was a very rare occasion that you'd seen this sign. Most everything in your life happened inside the city limits. The endless road ahead seemed scary in a way. It paralyzed you, and finally put an end to your forward momentum. You scanned your surroundings instead of dwelling on that. You deeply hoped he hadn't gone past that sign either. Cove! The previous times you called his name, there had been no answer. You couldn't be surprised that one didn't come this time either. Until... French fires? A dark blob just behind one of the exit sign's legs shifted. You squinted as it continued to move. It's the ghost! I'm kidding, it's not. The more you stared, the more your eyes adjusted, and the more that dark blob resembled a person, you realized just who it was. It was Cove. He was here. You actually found him. He hesitantly got up from where he'd been sitting, as if to make sure he had actually heard something. Then he caught sight of you, his eyes wide behind his glasses. There you are. Are you crazy? I'm so happy you're here. I've been looking for you everywhere. I knew you'd be here. You were just as stunned. Well, it would probably be these two, like, in succession. So I'm going to start with I'm so happy. Cove finally blinked as you ran up to him, your feet still aching. How did you find me? Lizzie told me you wrote in your letter that you were leaving. You've always wanted to go back home, so I thought you must have come this way. And that was all he said. After all of this, maybe he didn't realize how seriously the adults were taking it. What are you gonna do? Are you okay? We should head back now. I'm gonna ask him what he's gonna do. What you gonna do, bro? I'm gonna keep going. He spoke firmly, and his gaze turned towards the long stretch of road leading down. Everyone's looking for you. That caught his attention. He frowned at you. They are? Yeah, the whole neighborhood. Lizzie told me they might even call the police. You might get arrested. What? Why? I don't know. Because you tried to run away, probably. I'm not gonna be arrested. Although Cove said that, he looked a little worried over the news. Come on, Cove, let's go home. He spoke crossly. You were thirsty and exhausted, and you weren't sure you could keep going back and forth about this. Why not? How come? Why? Why can't we just go? You're stupid! I don't understand why you can't go back. Okay, it's between why can't we just go back, and I don't understand. I'm gonna go with I don't understand, because I feel like that's the least nasty option. These are all color-coded too, and like I feel the colors mean something. But I'm trying to be genuine. Your question caused him to waver, but not budge. At first, Cove was quiet. You started to think he wouldn't say anything. Then he spoke. My mom called today. Check up on me and stuff. She asked what Sunset Bird was like and how I was doing. Okay. But when I asked if she'll come here, Mom said she couldn't. I can't go back either. Not right now. She has to move somewhere else first. Cove glared at the ground. His voice cracked as he continued. Why can't I even see her anymore? He used his uncasted arm to rub both of his eyes. I'm gonna go myself. I don't need anyone to take me. How are you gonna get to your mom's place? That's a bad idea. This is all too much, and I started to cry. I would probably do that. God, I want to go with cry, because I feel so bad for him. Let's do it. Cove's eyebrows shot up, as though he hadn't expected you to have this kind of reaction to what was happening. What's wrong? You didn't give him an answer. When the surprise wore off, he tried more softly to coax a reply out of you. Are you okay? No, I want to go home. No, I don't feel good. No, I don't want you to go. Oh, no, you shouldn't do stuff like this. You simply shook your head no. I'm going to tell him I don't want him to go. Like, don't go. His lips clammed together and he awkwardly held his hands up in front of him as though he wanted to do something, but wasn't sure what. Sorry, I don't want to leave forever. It's just... Then he shook his head like he was trying to clear it. When he spoke some more, it was mostly to himself. If I don't go see Mom, then she's... Fresh tears glistened in Cove's red-rimmed eyes. He stubbornly tried to blink them away. They slipped down his cheeks. You waited for Cove to continue. Mom doesn't call that much. I haven't seen her in so long. Cove hiccuped, wiping his face with the back of his arm. His glasses got shoved up awkwardly as a result. If I don't go, she'll be gone. She'll forget about me. She wouldn't do that. How do you know? She's your mom. She loves you. Your mom's always said that, so it must be true for Cove's mom too. Cove sniffled. Seemed conflicted. I'm not sure if that's right. You were at a standstill. Everything will be okay. We can't stay here forever and we can't go out there. We gotta go back. Then we'll stay out here. I'm not gonna go back. I mean, yeah, that's super supportive and I'm crying and all. So yeah, let's go for that. But it's pulling at my heartstrings, but you ain't gonna get me that easy, game. Get me. His lower lip trembled at your declaration. Are you sure? You don't have to. You can still go home without me. You didn't leave a letter or anything. I'm sure. Thanks. You're pretty nice. You weren't sure how to react to that. You guessed it was okay that you were getting along right now. That was that from him. Both of you shuffled towards the sign. He sat near it again and followed, crossing your legs under yourself. He zipped open his backpack and offered you a snack, which you took. You hadn't had dinner, so you were hungry. There was a feeling of camaraderie in the silence as you ate. Do you think they called the police after all? Everyone must still be looking for Cove, and you too now. No, probably not. He didn't sound confident, though. You still hoped he was right. You didn't want to go to jail. You weren't sure how much time passed. All you knew was that one moment you were letting your eyelids droop while huddling near Cove under the sign, and the next, you were snapped back to attention by the blaring beep of a horn. Cove froze. You whipped around to see a car approaching you. It was difficult to make out who it was. The headlights were so blinding. Instead of continuing down the road, the car slowed near where you sat. The window rolled down, revealing the face behind the wheel. It was very familiar. Mom! She shouted back, and not just because there was some distance between you and her. What are you kids doing here? I've been looking everywhere for you. Sorry, Mom. She stopped, looking at you, instead staring hard, straight ahead. Both her hands were gripping the wheel. Guilt ate you up inside. Get in. Let's get you two home. That, at least, made her showing up worth it. Your feet were aching like crazy from all the walking you'd done today. You yanked open the side door, slipped inside the back seat, then clambered over so Cove could have enough room to climb in too. He followed in wordlessly, tucked his backpack near his feet. Your mom looked at you and Cove from the rearview mirror. The two of you had us extremely worried. That wasn't a good thing to do, not at all. Shamefaced, you both nodded as one. Sorry, Miss Noisy Face. Sorry, Mom. She softened immediately. Not enough to actually let it go, though. You'll have to apologize to everyone else, too. With that, Mom started up the car, and you were off. For the rest of the car ride, no one said anything. You thought all of you were pretty tired. In fact, you must have dozed off at some point, because you woke up to the sound of the engine stopping. You yawned and got out of the car. Cove came after, putting his backpack on again. Mom locked the car door and motioned the two of you towards the house. She opened the front door and let you go in first. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might be talking to. The tight line of her shoulders relaxed when she saw you and Cove. Oh, thank goodness you found both of them. Yes, I did. They were at the actual end of town, right under the now leaving sign. What were you two doing there this time of night? Do you have any idea how far that is? That's unsafe. You peeked at Cove. He still looked exhausted. His eyes were puffy and there were dried tear tracks stuck on his cheeks. I wanted to see my mom. French fryers came and got me. Your own moms shared a look. You weren't sure what it meant, but they always did that. You wondered if they could read each other's minds. Since they were communicating telepathically, you stole a glance around the house. Lizzie wasn't anywhere in sight. Could she be outside somewhere, searching for Cove still? Where's Lizzie? Your sister's in her room, fast asleep. Same way you should have been. She came back earlier. She'd been out looking for Cove after accidentally finding out he was missing. She tried to pretend otherwise. She was worried. She said she checked all the hiding places she could think of. She couldn't find Cove. You and Cove exchanged remorseful glances at that. Mommy noticed the discomfort. You two must be sleepy. You can sit down wherever you like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned to the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. You followed close behind. The living room wasn't far or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go see his mother. Poor thing. That explains it at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off into town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. Well, true. Can't be helped. Well, that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots.
Is that all right?
I'll call. Then go to the front and tell everyone still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hun. Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. I'm sorry, French fryers. You faced him quietly. I don't want to make you feel bad. I don't want to fight. And you won't do it again. Question, I'm sorry too. I don't know what I'm sorry for, but that, like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I don't pressure him. You don't have to. It wasn't your fault. It's alright. Despite Cove's protests, you couldn't help it. It would have been too hard not to say sorry after a disagreement. But having him apologize didn't make you feel much better. When it seemed silence would descend upon the two of you again, the front door opened. Your mom was back, with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son. Cove, God, are you alright, brah? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened, like he'd been crying too. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. Good. That's good. So glad to hear that, brah. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting to smile. But the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed, as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still smiling weakly. So happy you're alright too. French fryers, brah. Then he looked at your mom. Thanks for your help, as always, brah. He laughed pitifully.
Sorry.
Sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough, brah. Oh, it was no trouble, Cliff, really. It couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. Besides, he wasn't the only one who decided it was a good idea to disappear today. Exactly. We're just happy the kids are safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then, too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad. I won't leave anymore. Promise? Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine. That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? Talk it out. Here for you, brah. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and muscled his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, brah. Bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked over to the front door so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow, but he stopped, turned to you before stepping through the threshold. Thanks, French fryers. You're welcome. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there, then gone. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were perfectly dead on your feet at that point. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you right to bed with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. Your eyelids were so heavy you couldn't open them again until the next morning. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like a dream, but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were none too pleased that you went to find Cove on your own. As punishment, your moms took away your TV privileges for the next few days. Lizzie was annoyed that she couldn't watch her shows with you around, but she adjusted. Whenever you expressed disappointment, your moms reminded you that they weren't punishing you for no reason. It was dangerous to go out on your own so late, and without telling anyone. You could have gotten hurt or worse. As upset as you were, you understood. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what he said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word you hadn't heard before. Self-flagellation? But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of this event. It's none of their goddamn business! Go back to your fucking magic man in the square, okay? Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. Time to have a sleepover, let's have a sleepover. Alright kids, we're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if it had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood. Her table is made of rich mahogany. She has many leather-bound books. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots in the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, uncrossing her legs and standing up. She stretched her arms above her head. Ah, finally! I'm ready to eat. Then, she cast a sly glance in your direction. You recognized that look. Last one to the table is a rotten egg. I haven't... But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted towards the kitchen. Tried to catch her, stayed sitting, yelled out, threw a cushion. I'm gonna throw a motherfucking cushion at your face. Grabbing one of the cushions from the sofa, you threw it half-heartedly towards her in hopes of slowing her down. It wasn't firm enough, however, and the cushion landed with a plop on the ground instead. It was a short distance to the kitchen table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping her hand over the wood. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump into her. With an exasperated sigh, she resumed her work. I won again. You didn't win because you're racing by yourself. Because you cheated. Okay, you won. Yeah, you didn't win because you're racing by yourself. No, I told you we were both racing. You're just so slow. I wasn't racing and you know it. That sounds like something the rotten egg would say. Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder. Cove, you can be the tiebreaker. Was that a real race that I totally won? You blinked. You'd almost forgotten about him. The fact that Cove preferred to keep to himself didn't help matters either. You spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, the arm with the cast resting in his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him here so late. Tonight, Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your moms and his dad had planned it a few days ago, after he ran away from home, just to smooth shit over. You weren't surprised. Oh, this is me. Hold on. You weren't surprised. You overheard your moms discussing it before. You hadn't expected it when your moms told you, but you didn't mind Cove sleeping over. The idea made you uncomfortable. He was gonna sleep in your room. Oh! Whoa! Oh, shit's getting serious. I probably, because I'm a nosy Nancy, I probably heard them talking about it. You'd rather have your room to yourself, but you were resigned to your fate. There wasn't anything you could do. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her. Not that Lizzie would make it easy. This wasn't the first time she asked him to be a referee for one of their sudden races. Well, did I win or what? Cove still didn't respond. He turned away, refusing to weigh in. Lizzie glowered, but had no effect. She crossed her arms and turned back to you. There you go. I won. He didn't say anything. So that means it should be up to the oldest instead. Haha, you're still a rotten egg. Now that's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each farm fresh. Oh my god! Maybe I am happy I made them talk like that. Like, I feel bad. They both have the generic voice, but like gems. Gems. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd say. Now, listen to Mom and come sit at the table for dinner. All three of you. You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the end of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you and Mom turned her back. What a little bitch. Your parents brought the last of the food, then took their seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you and Lizzie. Only Cove was left out. He had stood up from his spot on the floor, but he hadn't made a move towards the kitchen. Cove? You can sit too. Slowly, he eyed the 4 seats that were left. Thanks to the new seating arrangement your parents chose, one free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last two were on the other side of where your moms were sitting. Sit next to me, you can sit anywhere you want to. Yeah, like you can sit anywhere you want to, bro. Like no fucking pressure in this house. We do what we want. He hung his head and scuttled past you, Lizzie, and your moms. Cove went to the chair on the opposite edge of the table and sat down. It seemed being far away was what he wanted. Your moms frowned. You shrugged it off and turned back to your plate. Now that everyone was situated, Mom began to pass out plates. I almost read that as like sudiated. Sudiated. Great word, great word.
Okay.
Dig in, kids. I cooked a little bit of everything for dinner tonight. Be sure not to avoid all of the veggies. Yes, Mom. Each person at the table served themselves except for one. Cove hesitated again. He fidgeted with his hands clamped on top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. One dish seemed to have his eye at least. That's pineapple chicken. You want to try some? No, not really. Sorry. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. You not like any of the food, honey? Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food before. He hasn't? Oh, wow. Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed the bite she was eating, and then she spoke again. Well, he should try it now. She turned to Cove dramatically. When does Lizzie do anything undramatically? That's what I want to know. She kind of reminds me of, if you've ever seen the show My Name is Earl and his wife Joy. Like, that is Lizzie. That is Lizzie. Unless you want to shrink. That's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth! That's not true, you know that. Cove squirmed under all the attention. He fidgeted with a fork between his fingers. I've had some things, just not any of this.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, I knew I should have asked your dad what your favorite foods were. It's all right, Lonnie. Maybe he'll find a new favorite today. Weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying the food anytime soon. You'll let your mom handle this. I think you'd like pineapple chicken. It's yummy. Give me your plate. You should try something new. I'm going to encourage him to eat the pineapple chicken. Eventually, Cove carefully spooned the rice and pineapple onto his plate. Maybe because he didn't know what else to do at that point. You saw that he avoided the veggies entirely. Your moms let him get away with not taking any vegetables. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly, he was apprehensive to eat something new, but took a few exploratory bites. It's good, huh? Isn't it? You don't have to keep asking. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thoughtfully. It's not bad. Decent. But it's not the best. This is a joke that we have. So, my 8-year-old nephew went to a party. His mom made buttered noodles and I made pasta salad. And he was eating both and he is like, Mom, these buttered noodles are great. You're the best mom ever. And they're so tasty and you should be Chef Ramsay. I'm embellishing, obviously. Then it gets to my, salad and he takes one bite and he looks at me and he goes, it's decent, but it's not the best. And it was literally the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied even though it wasn't exactly a glowing commendation. Yeah, see? She knows. Lizzie wasn't as mollified. You're so weird. Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends. Oh, damn, Cove, you harsh motherfucker.
Oh.
Oh! She just goes. Mommy floundered in the face of Cove's blunt honesty. It seemed strange your mommy was taken aback by the news. When had they gotten along? You didn't consider yourself to be friends with him either. As far as you was concerned, he was your neighbor and nothing else. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug. Elizabeth, don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as weird. Oh, wait, I read that wrong. There's no such thing as a weird person and a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. No, I'm pretty sure there's weird people out there. I'm just saying. It's not a nice thing to say to someone, anyone, but Pam. Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom. Her attempt to make it audible over the sound of clinking silverware meant you caught the quiet word anyway. They're not friends. Said so. As a parent, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves. Now, unless talking and more eating, kids, you need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon. But Mom... No buts. We talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it wasn't right. You laughed at Mom's phrasing. You groaned about it as well. You stayed quiet. I'm gonna laugh. That's pretty funny. You couldn't contain your snorts. Something the matter? French fries? Fryers? Whatever your name is, I named you, but I know what it is. Mom says. Right. Mom says. No buts. Is that why I'm snickering? Because I'm a child and she said but? That's probably why. Lizzie scoffed and rolled her eyes, unimpressed by such crude words. Mommy snickered along with you, however. That's right. No butts allowed here. You'll have to get rid of yours. No, I need it. The two of you continued to chuckle, and Cove even cracked a smile. I have never known a boy that has not laughed at the word but or butts. I am telling you right now. Children, I'm surrounded by children. The rest of dinner passed uneventfully. Cove was silent for most of it, even when your moms attempted to include him in conversation. All too soon, the table was cleared. The games in the living room were put away, and you were steered into your bedrooms. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow just as Mommy poked her head in the room. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably in your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpits. You could kick it off later, if it got too hot. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor for Cove, just beside your bed. He had already wriggled inside. I think so. Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled when you squawked in annoyance, and left. Mommy took her place sitting at the edge of your bed. So cute. She pressed a soft kiss on your forehead. You giggled as strands of her hair fell forward and tickled you. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his spot on the floor. You need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Sometimes he picks me up and lifts really high. He shakes his hand like he's gonna let go, but then he catches me again. He keeps doing that until sometimes he does drop me on my bed, or other times he lowers me down and we pretend like I'm crashing. Cove had become pretty excited with talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad had shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was, and bashfully quieted. But I don't want to do that here. I just want to lay in my bag like a little creeper that I am. Aw, how fun. Though I think you're right, that might be a good idea not to do that tonight. Sleeping bag might not be a soft enough landing. If there's anything else, you can always ask me. Or French Fire's other mom. But I'm the nicer one. Just don't tell her that. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of a lump under the covers. Cove? What's wrong? What was that? Could you be less loud? Could you be quieter, please? Stop it! I mean, I'm gonna ask him what's wrong. This always backfires, but I'm gonna fucking do it. I can't sleep. Why not? He shifted, or at least you thought he did. You couldn't see anything since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. I want to be in my bed. Oh. Cove sat up. Your eyes had gotten used to the low light level so you could see him better. He got out of his sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side, pulled open the top drawer. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You sat up too, watching as he reached inside. He paused for a second, then pulled his hands out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. Cove turned it around in his hands, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew, even without reading the title, which one it was. That was one your moms would read to you. It was special. Well, I'm not going to shout, "Be careful, that's mine." That's mean. I thought you were looking for your glasses. What are you doing with that? I wouldn't do any of these. Like, I would just get down on the floor and read this book with him. But whatever. We're going to go with, I thought you were looking for your glasses, I guess. I was. Then I felt this. Looks cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you grinning, your confusion forgotten. It is really cool. I mean, I'm really cool. I'm just saying. Oh yeah? What's it about? It's a story. Oh, it's motherfucking King Arthur! Bitches! Yeah, let's go, bro. Does it have mermaids? No, but I love the main character because the squire's really brave and funny. It has cool pictures, some of them even take up the whole page. I had a book growing up that was the story of St. George and the Dragon, and the pictures in this book were mesmerizing, so I might go with that. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. There's a dragon in it, and crazy things happen. That's me, bro. That's me. Squire tries to kill her because the king wants the dragon dead. So they have this fight. But the squire finds out that the dragon is really nice. They decided they don't want to fight her after all. So the two of them become friends instead. You only realized afterward that you spoke more strongly than you had meant to. Your cheeks burned. This must have been how Cole felt earlier. Thankfully, Cove didn't seem annoyed. In fact, if you didn't know any better, it seemed like he liked the explanation. Usually, Cove sported a disinterested expression on his face. Or a sad one. Ain't that the truth, though? You could probably count the number of times you'd seen him smile on one hand. I probably could go through all these episodes and motherfucking count it. I'm not even fucking joking right now. Right now, though, He looked excited as he flipped the book over and focused at the backside. Try learning more. You were reminded of the hours you spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it, or had it read to you, you were still entertained by the story and the pictures inside. You glanced out at the window. The moon was high in the sky. I'm gonna read the book. I'm gonna read the motherfucking book. I said that earlier. Ain't no time for sleep, bitches. You climbed out of bed and padded over to your side table. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? Getting something we need. You let out a quiet cry of victory when you found what you were looking for. You jumped back onto the bed before any hidden boogeyman could catch you unaware. Cove continued to watch as you wiggled your way underneath the blanket. You pulled it up over your head. What? You have to come here. Bring the book, too. After a minute, the bed dipped as Cove got in. Then the blanket shifted. You fiddled with the flashlight in your grip, feeling for the switch. With a click, the small space flooded with a bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from the beam. Move it somewhere else. Sorry. You hurriedly tilted the flashlight so it was shining down at the floor of your blanket cave, away from Cove's sensitive eyes. Now we can read. My moms won't know. I do this all the time. I was that child. I do this all the time. I didn't stay up for too long because Mom or Mommy check on me sometimes. I haven't been caught yet. You want to try? Cove nodded. Pleased by his straightforward response, you placed the book between you and flipped it open to the first page. Meanwhile, he laid down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine it on the pages. His face was illuminated with a warm glow. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed, till you shuffled back a comfortable distance. You wanted the story to be narrated. You thought it was best to take turns reading the book silently. You flipped through the pages to show Cove cool pictures. Man, it's gonna be between narration and cool pictures. I feel like he does genuinely want to read this, so I'm gonna go with the first option. You loved it when Mommy read to you. Why not read as loud as you dared this time of night? Though you felt a little embarrassed, your excitement over introducing another person to this special story won out. You didn't even need to study a page for long. There was once a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted was to do good. Cove was taken aback when you began to recite the words by heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly, a word which had given you grief in the past. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon, you got to an exciting part. Squire, the dragon's first meeting. Squire walked up to the fearsome dragon. Their borrowed sword in one hand and a torch in the other. Her red scales danced in the light, flickering flames. Could you say the dragon's lines? Do I need to get your glasses? No. My head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while. I can kind of see things all right, but I don't know any voices. You know what? My moms have the same voice, so don't give me that bullshit, Cove. It's okay. It's fun anyways. You hoped he would agree, but Cove vehemently shook his head, looking like it was just up to you. You continued the dramatic reading, reciting the lines for all the characters. The next time you looked up from the page, your eyes landed right on Cove. His eyes were following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost in the story. Your eyelids started to droop. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black and silent. Your head was smushed into your pillow. Your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was dry. Slowly, you raised yourself onto your elbows. You yawned, the back of your throat twinging as you did so. You rolled onto your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen. You saw a dark shape towering above you. You froze, but then you remembered you weren't alone in your room tonight. Cove? Is that you?
Yeah.
You shifted, felt something cylindrical press against your thigh. You fumbled for it. The familiar weight of the flashlight pressed it into your palm. You turned it on. Both blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. His pajama pants were on the floor, abandoned. His sleeping bag was in a similar state. What is it? Sleep. Waking up. You have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, I can't sleep. Dear. You frowned. You helped your mom's redecorate it only a few months back. I like my room. It's weird to me. I sleep in my bed. I wanna go. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He's gonna walk outside back to his house at this time of night? By himself? He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with resolve. Dad'll let me in. I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. Oh, well, if you have to. You don't have to. I'll come with you. I should tell my moms. Well, oh my god. I don't like any of these, but I think I'm gonna go with I'll come with you. I can do it by myself. His tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. Not that there was any time for any. He began making his way to the bedroom door before you could even open your mouth to respond. Clearly, he was in a hurry to get out of here. You couldn't blame him. It was late, and he must want to go to sleep already. Night. Night. Just like that, he was gone. You were left blinking wearily at the closed door. You just dropped your head to the pillow, closed your eyes, and settled in as best you could. You were getting sleepy again. Your very last thought was that the sleepover had not been very successful. The next morning, you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice and a soft shake on your shoulder. French fries, wake up! Time to get up and get 'em! The sun was peeking through your curtains, and you rubbed at your eyes as they adjusted to the new light. Cove's already out of bed? You blinked at her for a moment, confused, till you caught the empty sleeping bag on the ground and remembered what had happened during the night. But I don't see him out there. I wonder where he's gotten off to so early. You hesitated, giving Mom a look with your mouth half hanging open as your mind processed what to tell her. French fries, is everything all right? Cove couldn't sleep. He said my room was weird. Where is Cove now? Did he sleep on the couch? He just ran away. We need to find out where he is. Mom was still looking at you expectantly. But as you started to explain what had happened, you were interrupted by Mommy calling from downstairs, saying Mr. Holden was at the door. You could tell by the way that Mom's forehead crinkled that she was even more concerned. When she turned her head downstairs, you pulled back the covers and jumped out of bed to follow her. Cliff, how are you? Mom joined Mommy at the door while you hovered at the bottom of the stairs, peeking around the corner. You saw Cove's dad just standing outside. He was alone, and you wondered if Cove had gotten home. So, I'm out of the loop on what happened, but Cove showed up back home in the middle of the night, brah. Mr. Holden was much more serious than you were used to. Maybe this was a bigger thing than you thought it was. Your moms exchanged a matching pair of surprised looks, Mommy gasping and covering her mouth with a hand. He wouldn't tell me. I thought you might have some insight, bruh. We didn't hear a thing during the night. I noticed Cove was gone just minutes before you arrived. Is he alright? We're so sorry. Mr. Holden put his lips into a tight smile and held up his hands as if to say it wasn't their fault. He's fine. I just wanted to find out more about having another talk with him, brah. Should have known he wasn't ready to spend the night at someone else's house, brah. You felt bad for Mr. Holden. He looked so sad. They discussed the event for a little bit longer, your parents promising to call him if they found out more. And when Mr. Holden finally said goodbye, you heard your moms calling your name. Immediately, you panicked, wondering if you should find somewhere to hide. There was a growing sense of dread in your stomach that you were about to get in a lot of trouble. Your moms found you eventually, though you were relieved to see they didn't look very angry. They did, however, look very worried. Did you know Cove had gone home? French fries? You looked up at them both. Your mouth pulled into a hard line and Mommy's eyes softened a little. Well, maybe he snuck out while French fries was asleep. He got past the two of us. Is that what happened, honey? Shaking your head, you finally confessed and told them what had really happened. You didn't want Cove to get into any trouble, but you didn't want to lie to your parents either. Not when they had been so worried about him. Your parents listened to you full before they explained how dangerous it had been for Cove to wander at night on his own. Personally, you didn't think that was bad, since Cove only lived across the road. You didn't tell your moms that. You are already in enough trouble as it was. So when they asked you to promise to tell them something like that next time, you nodded in your head in agreement. Even though it was a little unfair, you accepted the punishment that you weren't allowed to have any sleepovers until you could prove to your moms that you were responsible enough. How many friends I got? I got fucking Shiloh and I got fucking Cove. And if Shiloh stays the night, he's gonna be with my sister, so what kind of punishment is that? I'm just asking. You were determined to show them that you could be trusted. When you saw Cove next, he was sorry he had gotten you in trouble. After hearing a similar lecture, Cove got away with a warning from his dad. Mr. Holden felt the negative experience was already enough, and Cove didn't need any additional punishments. In the end, the two of you and your parents were eventually able to move past the ill-fated sleepover. It had all been a learning experience, according to the adults. You could accept that. There were definitely things you learned from it.